Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we're excited to be back before you again with another live broadcast here from just outside of the big city in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, 20 minutes southeast down I-75. And we thank God for all those of you who decided to join us here on the broadcast tonight. As you know, second and fourth Tuesday is Ladies' Night. And we have a wonderful slate of ladies that will be joining us from all age brackets. We're going to be talking a little high school basketball. We're going to have a shout out and I guess you want to say really kind of a small tribute to the defending state champions who are located right down the road here in Forest Park, Georgia, just maybe about 3 or 4 miles away from WIGO 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio. And we want to welcome all those of you who are listening to us live on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, also who are listening to us on WIGOAM, and also who are listening.com. Let's get that right, WIGOAM.com. And those of you who are listening also on the free TuneIn Radio app. That's why it's a free app. If you don't have the app, please, sir, download it right now. It's a free app. Put in WIGO in 1570 in the search engine, and voila, you will find us broadcasting to you right here and right now. And we also want to give big kudos and shout outs to all those people who are watching right now on the replay on Periscope, which is of course Twitter TV, and also those of you who are watching us on YouTube Live. We appreciate each and every one of you for again dropping in to check us out here on the Real Talk Sports Show. Well, like I said again, we're going to be talking a little high school sports. We haven't done that in a while. Spotlight again on the Forest Park Lady Panthers. They are defending state champions. They have the South Metro Coach of the Year. He's going to be joining us, and hopefully some of his players as well will be talking to us. And let you guys take a look at the young ladies off the court. They're doing some great things as they get ready and get set to defend their state title. And we also going to be talking a little bit later on to, our favorite ladies that join us on the broadcast. Iris Fambro Carter will be talking to us about what's happening up in the University of Georgia. We also will be bringing on from the Atlanta Public Schools Assistant Athletic Director, the lovely Miss Candace Mitchell will be joining us, and she'll be talking about what's happening with Atlanta Public Schools as well. Well, like I said, guys, stay tuned. Keep it locked right here. We got great stuff coming on. Like I said, Forest Park Lady Panthers will be in the building. They'll be joining us in just a minute. We're going to bring them up at 8:05 p.m., giving you guys a chance to log into the broadcast. We appreciate, again, each and every one of you that are joining us here on the live broadcast. Remember, I'm going to pop it up here. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do it in one of two places. You can follow me on, personally, at Minister J. Sim. That's everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, no problems. If you want to follow the show itself, at Real Talk Sports 7. We're everywhere. We're even on Snapchat. I ain't been on there in a minute. And we're also on TikTok. And no, you ain't going to see me dancing on there, but you will see some inspirational videos as well. All right, like I promised you, at 8:05, we're going to bring on the folks from Forest Park High School, the defending state champions here in Georgia. I believe I have Coach Cole somewhere in the building. We're going to pop him on. He is the head coach. And Coach Cole, welcome, sir. Are you there?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Mr. Simmons? Can you hear me?
Sir, I'm fantastic and great to be here. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes, sir. It was a little bit of a time delay, but we got you loud and clear. And I believe you have one of your top players on right now. I believe this young lady was Gatorade Player of the Year last year, swept a lot of the awards. Miss Sonia, are they there? Let's kind of click you on here. And there she is. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm good.
Well, first of all, many congratulations to you and your squad, Coach. Also, you guys are bringing home the gold state champions. First of all, Coach, how did it feel for you to be to coach such a great team and bring them all the way to the state championship?
Well, it goes back a long time. We've been at this about 11 years. We've been to the Final Four 8 times and then to the Final 7 times. So we just finished some unfinished business.
And that must have been a great thing for you to do so. And am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Sonia or Sania? Just get it right. I don't like to pronounce anybody's name wrong.
It's Sanaya. And
Sanaya.
I can't hear Coach Cole.
All right, Coach, speak up again.
Can you hear me now?
I still can't hear him.
Uh-oh. All right, Coach. It looks like we got a little. We might have to reboot you here. But Sanaya, how did it feel for you to win this state title and take it on back home to Forest Park and Clinton County?
Well, it felt good. It was
We,
a
now,
blessing.
and now, was it tougher for you guys to actually get to the state title? Because I think you guys beat Glenn County by a pretty big margin. What was kind of the toughest game that you guys had to deal with getting up to that point, besides the actual state championship game?
I'll say against probably Sprayberry.
That was a team you guys had to really kind of lock it down. Well, I'll say again, it's very, very exciting. Congratulations to you, and certainly a lot of kudos to you after the season. South Metro Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year. It's got to be exciting for you and your family to win so many accolades.
Thank you.
Well, what can we look forward to you? Go ahead, Coach.
He's already committed to South Carolina.
All right.
He's already committed to South Carolina University.
For some reason, Sanai can't hear you, Coach. I can hear you. I hope everybody else on Facebook can hear you as well. Speaking of Facebook, we're going to go to some of the comments here as people are chiming in here on social media. We got Miss Donna Jones. She's our administrator on the Real Talk Sports Show. So when it pops up, it's actually showing as I'm commenting, but it's not. It's actually her. And we got some folks also commenting from on Periscope. Lovely Miss Kami from South Carolina. She's excited because she's in South Carolina, so she can't wait to see you, Sanaya. So great things there. And as you can see, she's giving a big shout out to South Carolina. She can't wait to have you there.
Thank you.
Well, for me, it kind of comes full circle. I've been honored to interview several high school athletes who have won top kudos. Got a chance to interview Tia Cooper about 5 or 6 years ago. Also got a chance to interview Diamond DeShields a couple of years ago, was National Player of the Year as well. So now you like in good company because it seems like Metro Atlanta knows how to put out some serious women's basketball players.
Thank you.
And so what kind of made the decision for you to go to South Carolina?
The Lord he put me in a different direction, and it was just there.
Now, I'm excited about that because, people follow the show know that I am a licensed minister. So, anytime a young lady or any young person comes on and says the Lord, I got excited right there. Well, you talk about the Lord. How important is having a relationship with the Lord as far as you being able to do the things you do both on the court and even off the court?
Well, it's really important because I feel like if you don't have the Lord in you, then nothing's really possible. Because he gave me a path to follow. Just doing it.
Well, again, I like how you talk about having that path to follow, because certainly all of us who follow the Lord Jesus Christ, he kind of has laid out that template on on how we should be and what we should do. So I'm just thankful to you, and I'm sure your parents have had a big influence, to you following the Lord. And when did you kind of really start, going to church and kind of realizing this relationship with God? When did that kind of start for you?
Well, during quarantine, we've been having family Bible study and stuff, so that's what basically got me closer to the Lord.
So this is what I was telling people. The pandemic, for those people who have lost loved ones, I'm certainly our condolences to you, and we wouldn't wish this thing on anybody. But this pandemic really has seemed to have a big impact on people, their spiritual lives, being able to draw close to your family. And so now it seems like that's the way it has been with you, that, it's gotten you that chance to kind of hone in on that relationship. Now, the other thing I want to ask you about going to South Carolina, I'm going to be real honest, like the thing that really got me watching women's basketball, and I've told her to her face, I met her here in Atlanta, interviewed her real quick, was your future head coach, Miss Dawn Staley. And I tell you what happened. I'm watching TV, and they pop on ESPN, and they show, the U.S. women's basketball team. I see your coach, hair flying in the wind, dribbling down, killer crossover, and all of a sudden, on the full run, she drops a dime between her legs. And I was like, oh, snap, what? And after that, I was hooked. I was good right there. That got me involved. So how big was the conversation, the impact, the recruiting, by this legendary player, your future head coach, Dawn Staley?
It was really good.
And so, how many visits did you actually have to go to before you said, "Hey, you know what? South Carolina, that's the place I want to be."
Well, I'm not sure. It was just talking wise and getting to know the coaches and stuff.
Well, I tell you, it's. I think it's going to be a big year for you. Like I said, South Carolina, you haven't won a national title.
I can't hear you, Mr. Simmons.
You can't hear me at all. All right, I'm not sure what's. We'll try to. I'm gonna try to reboot you here. Can you hear me better now, Coach? Coach Cole. Well, I guess Coach is lost us there. So now, can you hear me still? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I want to bring someone up here while we're waiting for Coach, because right now, the one thing with technology, if any kind of problem with your Wi-Fi, you will in fact freeze up. So it looks like Coach
Right.
is frozen up, so we're going to take him off the screen for a second so we can get everything straightened out. We're going to go back to social media. Again, a lot of great comments from Cammie. She was excited about you coming to South Carolina. Here she's talking here on about, your relationship with the Lord, saying amen. Also, she's saying she can hear us okay. So not sure what's going on with Coach. We are going to bring somebody on who she kind of roots for a team that you're going to be up against. This young lady does a big Facebook page here called the Ultimate Dog Nation. I believe Iris Fambro Carter is in the building. Iris, are you there?
That's right. Hey guys. Woo.
Yeah. So you see here, I got an up and coming recruit. She's not coming to Georgia, unfortunately. She's heading to South Carolina. Love Miss Sanaya Fagan.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's done some wonderful stuff for us down here in Clayton County. Her team won the state title last year, and really, along with Westlake High School, they really have put ladies basketball here on the map here on the South Side.
Oh, great, great. Then you're talking about Sanaya, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sanaya, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So Sanaya, tell me what kind of is if people are going to go to a Forest Park game and kind of watch you and your team, how would you describe your style of play? Is it more inside game? Are you primarily defensive player? Kind of what people were looking for if they said we're going to go see Sanaya in Forest Park handle their business. What are we going to be looking for?
Well, I can say I'm very versatile. Um, I know I can bring the ball up. I can play defense. I like to block shots. Um, and yeah, that's
It's funny you talking about blocking shots. So I didn't flash up on the screen, but one of the things I saw when I was trying to get a picture that we could use on the flyer for you is that photo of you. I mean, you were jumping out the building, swatting somebody's shot. So I said, oh, okay, she can play a little defense as well. So yeah, that's got to be exciting. Again, I'm sure everybody at South Carolina is going to be very, very excited, with seeing you join them and be a part of that legacy to come out there. And like I said, you mentioned it's really all about family, and I think that's probably the most important thing for any recruit.
yeah.
We're going to try to see if we can bring your head coach back on here, see if we got him rebooted, or see if we can get him back into the stream. Coach Stephen Cole, head coach, South Metro Coach of the Year, head coach of the state champion Forest Park Lady Panthers. Let's see if we can bring him back on. Coach, are you there? Well, Coach, we can see you, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to hear.
All right. So we still seems like everybody can hear you, Coach, but it seems like we can't hear you too well. Cammie, can you hear? I mean, Sanaya, can you hear, Coach?
Yes.
All right, Coach. So everybody can hear you. Are you using headsets there, sir? No, I think like we're
Yeah, I
getting
can
some.
hear you well now.
You can hear well now. There we go. All right, I'm excited that we got everybody now. Everybody can hear, and everybody can be a part of it. Well, Coach, let me ask you this question. So, one of the things that we see a lot of here, and Sanaya mentioned it, the influence of the Lord in her lives. What are some of the things that you guys do at Forest Park? Are you involved with the FCA, or there's some certain things that you guys do that that kind of help build this spiritual relationship for the young ladies? Coach?
Well, we got the Christian Athletics there at Forest Park. They meet one week. He also comes out and support our program really well. So, we have a spiritual aspect to our program too. Our program is really academic based. I'm so happy this year everybody on varsity made the AB honor roll. And then we also have our 4 seniors that have college.
Yeah, that's very exciting because one of the things that we talk about all the time, the importance of, because, everybody, Shania and all the other young ladies and even young men that play at these programs, they are still, in fact, student athletes. Although they might be great athletes, they are, in fact, students. So I'm excited to hear that you guys, do such a great job of getting your team together as far as, making sure that the spiritual and the educational aspect are as important as the teaching aspect of on the court. Well, I think
Yeah.
that we still having a
I
little
didn't
bit
get,
of,
I didn't quite hear that, but
yeah. So what I was just saying, we're just so happy that you're able to, do so many great things with the kids, and to be able to, really, impact the educational aspect and the spiritual aspect as well as the on the field aspect. So we're excited about that. Well, anyway, one of the things, again, we just want to give a big shout out to everybody at Forest Park High School. Big shout out to Clayton County Public Schools. It's just, Coach, we also want to give a big shout out to your athletic director over there at Clayton County, Mr. Kevin May. He's worked with our program. We actually did live broadcast for Clayton County football last year, and we thank God for everything that's going on in the county. I work with Alan Vigil Ford. They were a supporter of high school football, and we're going to try, Shania, see if we can we can get him out there and support some women's basketball as well. Because sometimes I think you guys get overlooked. Do you feel that? Or are
Yeah.
you even concerned about that at all?
Well, yes, because I feel like they do overlook us, but it's
Yeah, I
okay.
think
It's okay.
yeah, I think sometimes with the women they do that. Again, you got everybody excited there. Miss Cammy is sharing the broadcast on Periscope. All the people in South Carolina, she's very, very pumped up. There's her comments right there. She's ready to go. And she's giving you, again, big congratulations and shout outs here. And we thank God for everybody who's been watching and listening to the broadcast again on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope. And, of course, a big shout out to Clayton County's own WIGO 1570 Atlanta's Incredible Radio. And we appreciate everybody that has tuned into the broadcast thus far. Well, do you know right now, Coach, and so now I'm asking you the same thing. Have you gotten feedback to when you guys are going to start your season yet?
No.
Not yet. Okay. Well, listen, we hope you guys are going to be able to get out on the court and play. We want to be able to see you defend that title. I'm going to ask this question. I know it's out of your control, but would you guys like the opportunity? The 7A champs are located right down the road here from you at Westlake. First of all, have you guys played Westlake in the last couple of years? And number two, would you like the opportunity to take on the 7A champs?
Well, actually, we played Westlake in the turn. It was a showcase tournament. It was a tournament. We played them, and
Okay.
we came out with the win.
And you knocked off the win.
And
So they're actually in your same class. Okay, for some reason I thought they were in the class that you got. Well, that's very impressive because
no, they're not. They're not in our same class. We played them in a tournament.
on a tournament. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a summer league tournament.
Oh man, that must not. Now, were you going into that game? Did you have any extra excitement knowing that both you guys are basically two of the best teams in the state?
No.
No, you just say, hey, I go about my business, take each game at a time, huh?
Yes. It went to double overtime though.
Oh man, that must have been one for the ages.
Yeah.
Iris, can you imagine that these two top teams in the state in this tournament getting all the way down to it taking double overtime to pull out a victory?
That's got to be just heartbreaking. Well, at least Sanaya's team won, but Westlake, man, you got to go home and sit that bill up. Man, that's awful.
Well,
But
again,
I hope the parents kind of, supported them.
well, they did. And we like to say again, I'd love to see a showdown with those guys. I know they don't do the combined state championship, but I'd love to see it. Want to give some more shout outs here from Facebook Live. Taylor is giving a big congratulations to Sanaya and saying congrats to all the great things that you are doing along with all of your teammates at Forest Park High School. Well, Coach, I'm gonna see if I can get you on real quick before we wrap up your segment. If you can tell people how they can find out more about Forest Park Lady Panthers, and maybe if you guys have a website or even social media where I think people can follow you as well. All right. Well, looks like we still have a little problem there with Coach and his audio. Sanaya, do you know what you guys are on Instagram? Do you know what your Instagram handle is?
We have a Twitter.
Twitter? Do you know what that is?
Yeah,
It's not clear. I can't.
All right, well that's all right. It's these. Listen, everybody, these things happen anytime we do these Zoom type broadcasts. From time to time, we get some technical difficulties where one or more of the guests can hear us. But what we'll do is next time we'll lay out the process. Normally, the best way to do it, and we'll set that up again, and hopefully we can have the Lady Panthers on as we get into the season. I know once the season starts, you guys get very busy, so it gets difficult. But hopefully we can catch up with you. And so now again, kudos to you, to your family, all the great stuff you're doing. I'm just, you seem like a lovely young lady, and looks like a young lady that really got her head on her shoulders. And again, you're following in great footsteps. We had a chance to interview a couple of years ago another young lady that I believe is just graduated from South Carolina, who was again the National Player of the Year, the Naismith Awards right here in Atlanta. So again, you're in good company, and the fact that you're carrying the Lord with you, that's going to be the biggest thing of all. So God bless you, and we hope that you do real well for this year, and as you continue to go on and get ready to go to college.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so now again, thanks for taking out time in your busy schedule. Coach told me you had to practice, so I already know this was tough for you to kind of come on the show. So again, I appreciate you for taking time out, and that lets me know you on the grind, trying to make it happen.
All right.
All right, you be blessed now.
You too.
Coach, again, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on. And Coach, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a special technological emissary to you to make sure that next time we got you all hooked up so you can hear us and be able to jump in the broadcast at full steam. All right, well, listen, again, we appreciate you. And again, Sanaya, God bless.
All right, you too.
Congratulations, Sanaya.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah, so great stuff. It's Forest Park High School. The Lady Panthers are in the building. So we appreciate them for stopping in, and we appreciated Coach for joining us and being with us. So again, we hope that we can, bring him back on at a later time. We kind of really get him situated with headsets and so forth. 'Cause I understand when people come on for the first time, they're like, hey, can I do it the other way? Nah, you got to do it with the headset. But again, we appreciate him. And again, I appreciate him taking the time out, because really, right now they're getting ready for the season. So the young ladies are practicing. They're trying to get their routine down. So again, I just appreciate them for being able to join us here on the broadcast. And appreciate all those of you who are out there watching on Facebook Live and on Periscope and on YouTube. And again, appreciate all those of you who share this broadcast on various pages. It's been incredible, the response that we continue to get from the show. So again, we appreciate you so much for doing it. Now, guys, as you know, probably about 5 or 10 minutes, we're going to have our HBCU Hero segment. And we got a special guest that's going to be coming on, Tracy Pennywell, who is, of course, you guys know, she is the co-founder of HBCU Heroes. And Iris, she told me she has a special guest coming on. Guess who? Iris is waiting. Guess who? Who do you think?
I don't know.
I figured I'd go ahead and put you out there. Well, here's Iris said, can't you give me a hint?
Yeah, I know. I mean, give me a letter.
Give me a letter, first letter. Well,
some initials or something like that. His or her initials.
Right. Well, the bottom line, this young man, I don't know what it is that we have a lot of former Cowboys that have been able to join us on the show. But this gentleman played for the Dallas Cowboys in the 80s. He's a legendary defensive back, a former defensive back at Grambling State University, and later went on to play for the Dallas Cowboys and won a world title with, ironically, an arch enemy of the Cowboys, the New York Giants. Everson Walls will be joining us. He is going to be.
Okay.
Yep. A great guy. Yep. And has a tremendous story both on the field and off the field, which we are excited about his ability to share that with us. And again, we're going to bring him on along with Tracy Pennywell right about the 8:30 p.m. hour. So again, guys, don't go nowhere, because the Real Talk Sports Show is going to bring you a special guest, Everson Walls, who will be being interviewed by Tracy Pennywell, and he's going to be tonight's HBCU Heroes. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break. And before we do that, we want to give you an opportunity. For those of you who are watching the broadcast who might be local business people in the Atlanta area or in the south side of Atlanta, Clayton County, Henry County, South Fulton, please, we'd love to have you support us here on the air. Love to go ahead and let you get an advertisement in here. We could use to support the broadcast. Contrary to popular belief, even though it's on Facebook, it is not free. The software that we have to use to run this, also equipment, does come to a cost, and we need your support. And we'd like to do some things with you virtually and also at your location. We are willing to come out, properly masked, of course, and keeping social distance. So please hit us up. Let us know. We would love to have you be a part of our broadcast. We're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show. HBCU Heroes coming up. The one and only Everson Walls will be joining us. All right, guys, keep it locked right here for more.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
That's my man, JB Smooth, closing us out there. I love those guys. I appreciate they took some time out to give us a few little shout outs here on the Real Talk Sports Show. Again, you listen to us as we broadcast you live on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO 1570 on your dial, or WIGOAM.com. You also can go to the Watch Live page on WIGOAM.com, and you will see the broadcast as well. Also want to give a big shout out to everybody on Periscope. Those of you who are watching us via the replay and live, also people on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. Well, as I promised, we have the HBCU Heroes segment coming up, and we're going to first bring on the lovely lady who is one of the co-founders, Miss Tracy Pennywell, has entered the lockdown living room. What's going on, Tracy?
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hey, doing fantastic. Good to see you as always. And of course, you told me you had a special guest for us.
I do.
We've already announced his presence. We're going to bring him into the studio, into the lockdown living room. Grambling State University star. Of course, wore the star in his helmet, the Dallas Cowboys, and later won a world title, a Super Bowl with the New York Giants, the one and only Everson Walls. Welcome to the show, kind sir.
Thank you. How's it going, guys?
Hey.
It's a beautiful thing.
I had to put my backdrop up here real fast. I'm sorry, it was kind of quick.
That's all right. Look, here's how this works. It's live. I tell you about it's live. It's not like we in the studio. We got the, all the stuff going on, the producers, extra people. Everybody's in their own silo. So we already know. And speaking of silos, we're going to go back to comments and folks on social media. Let's go ahead and pop this up here. And we have joining us here in the booth. She's going to pop on a little bit later. Another one of our fabulous ladies on the Real Talk Sports Show, the one and only Candace Mitchell will be joining us. Now, she's a very unique young lady. Everson, actually is with the Atlanta Public Schools, the assistant AD. But guess what she did back in the day? She
was a cheerleader.
Nah, brother. She played football.
She played football.
Yeah, she was a beauty queen in high school and in college, but later she went on to
What?
play in the Professional Women's Football League. Matter of fact, won the title, I believe, right here with the Atlanta Phoenix. Yeah, played linebacker.
Wow.
Wait, what league is this?
Yeah,
Lingerie league?
No, brother. I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get some videos so you guys can see her. She actually played in the Women's Professional Football League, full contact, full pads. They played right here at the Grady High School field, and let me tell you, they used to call her Lady Pantene, and the reason why is because when she would take the helmet off, it's like a Pantene hair commercial. All this auburn hair would be flying in the wind. But when she put that helmet on, she wore number 51 and sometimes number 56, and ever since she laid the wood to people, like she had no shame playing that
I'm a
linebacker
little
position.
different from her. I was always a finesse ball player, so I cannot relate to what she's doing. I like interceptions. I don't like making tackles. Never did. I think I was. That's why I played 13 years. I was able to stay out of the fray.
Well, the good news is, I mean, she got the look of finesse, but when she get on that field,
Yes.
all that finesse go out the window. Yeah, she trying to lay the wood. Mhm.
I bet
Trying to
she
lay the
does.
wood. Well, listen, again, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. Iris has been kind enough to help us with another former Cowboy. We had Quincy Carter join us a couple of weeks ago. So
Hey, Iris, how you doing?
Hey, Emerson, how you doing? Yeah.
I'm good. Quincy was one of my favorites here.
Oh, cool.
Quincy Carter. He had Bill Parcells had come here for a quick stint with the Cowboys,
Right.
and he molded Quincy Carter into a very good professional quarterback.
Nice.
Yeah.
yeah, he really was an outstanding quarterback. I wanted to get a solo shot there of ever since you guys can see that backdrop there. That's
Yeah.
there you go.
That's my first interception, my first career interception against the dreaded Washington Red Tails, I guess. Now, I don't know what.
Is that what it is now? Red Tails.
Well, they're going to be changing the name, so I'm just getting a jump on it. I think the Red Tails is a great logo after the colored Flyers, Tuskegee Flyers. And even the logo itself can be kind of transformed like a bad tattoo, right? You know, you get a tattoo you don't like anymore, and then you want to tattoo over that. Well, they could easily tattoo over that red tail logo, right over that Redskin logo, very easily, very
Okay.
easy.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I've been in the camp and now people said no, they don't want to have any affiliation with any type of Native American type of designation. But I wanted to have them have the name of the Warriors because I wanted to go back to the old school. If you remember, ever since they would go with the old school plain helmet with the R on the side, I would just make it really easy. Just change the R to a W.
That's
And
all
you're
they
good.
had. That's true. They did not have any Native American on there. It was just the letter red.
Yep.
Did it have a feather? Did it have a feather?
It actually did. There was a feather coming from the back of the R right towards the end. It wasn't as big as the normal, feather that they had there. So it was like it was less pronounced. And I thought that if they just turned that to a W, and it's just like the Chiefs. I mean, the Warriors are not a negative connotation.
Not at all.
That's really talking
Not at all.
about someone that's ferocious in battle. So to me, that's it. And I would think that many Native
As long
Americans.
as you don't depict a face or a color to it, I think it's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just put the W. Maybe put a. You even put a spear with a feather, and that's it. Designating, hey, this is how the Warriors go to battle, and leave it at that. So, but that's.
And either way, the Cowboys are going to kick their asses anyway, so who cares?
See, I knew it was going to come around to that.
You knew it was.
I already knew.
Looking really bad.
I'm sorry. We're going to win the East anyway. The Cowboys are going to win the NFC East anyway. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. He's right there. Well, here's what I'm gonna do real
Yeah,
quick
we
here.
right there.
Me and Iris are going to take a step out for a second here, and we're going to let you and Tracy kind of chop it up just a little bit about what makes you an HBCU hero, and then we'll come back and I think me and Iris both have one or two questions for you, but now we'll let you and Tracy take the stage here. So we'll pop.
Thank you.
Thank you. And hey, Iris.
Hey, Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you finally.
Good to see you finally. I know we talk on the phone, but we haven't. COVID, right? No one's really seen
That's
you.
right. That's right.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on Real Talk Sports for the HBCU Heroes segment. And I wanted to start by asking you.
I heard you're the real hero here. I heard you're like a real star here.
I'm just starting out, so to have a superpower like you on board, that gives me street cred. So I appreciate you being here and giving your time. And I wanted to start out with you with a question, because I know that you played for Grambling, and the Graham fam, I'm sure, is out there just all there. The Graham fam always shows up. Number one, anything
yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Post with you, the Graham fam is all the way live. But I know you played for Coach Eddie Robinson there, and then you played for 4 would-be Hall of Fame coaches later in your career. Tell us how that was and what you learned from those coaches.
Well, I think with Eddie, it was more dynamic and it was more impactful for me because I was just 17 years old when I met him. Mm-hmm. And he's bigger than life. When you first meet a coach like that, I just come from Dallas, Texas. We didn't have any coaches like an Eddie Robinson there. We had guys that looked up to Coach Robinson. So here I am sitting in front of him with my mother, and we're trying to get a scholarship. So he was nice enough, gracious enough to offer me a scholarship. I think he saw that our family was well-intentioned, that my mom really needed me to get a scholarship because at that point I had nothing else. So he took me in, and I think he really transformed me into the person that you see here today, to where with a little bit more confidence, being exposed more to the world. We traveled, I'd say out of 11 games, we traveled 8 of those games. Oh. And we were always, they called them classics. So we were always the stars of that weekend, and we brought the entertainment with us with the Grambling band. So being at Grambling, it just really boosted my self-esteem, coming from Richardson and Dallas with all the racism that we dealt with. Mm-hmm. I think being at Grambling, it gave me a sense of belonging. They have the motto there, where everybody's somebody, and I get that. But that, to me, that's every HBCU thing, because once you go there, coaches, students, faculty, they're going to keep you accountable. And I think at 17 to 20-something years old, that's what every African-American kid needs, whether it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't go to an HBCU myself, but I grew up in Greensboro, where A&T and Bennett and, the surrounding colleges in the area, that there was a certain pride, I think, that came for every single person that you met that went there, that was a legacy student there. There's just a certain camaraderie and pride that you don't see at a lot of other schools. They give the best parties too. So you guys come from all the Power 5 universities. Yeah. And then you come over there, you party with us. So they're like rock stars. Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And then, so we're talking about HBCU sports. And as you already know, Morehouse canceled the season for the year, but not for the year, for the fall for sports. And I've heard that a couple other HBCUs are coming behind to do the same thing. If it were you in your day, in your heyday, back in your Grambling days, would you want to play knowing what was happening with COVID? Or do you think that this is a good move, safety first?
Well, as a player, you want to play. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's what you came to school for, besides being a student. Mm-hmm. That's what you're bred for. That's why you signed up. That's what the scholarship allows you to do. Mm-hmm. But as a parent, and even if I were to step back away from the athletic standpoint and talk about it just as a regular human being, it's hard for me to logically see the logistics around this whole thing. Mm-hmm. As much as you're pulling for it, you want it to happen. You want the classics, you want the bowl games, you want the opening season, you want the conference opener, you want all of these things that's going to bring, first of all, a lot of pride to your university, a lot of activity, of course, but also a lot of income to your university. So you want that to happen simply because that's your university livelihood, which of course you have a vested interest in as a student and even as a parent of a student. But as a parent of a student, then you also have to look at the other factors, which is, infection. You just can't get by it. This is something that I don't care. You can act as if it doesn't exist or not. This is something that's going to dictate the timeline. We talked about that, I would believe about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We keep trying to make plans around the timeline, and the timeline is the one that's making the plans.
Absolutely.
And so, if I had a kid, my son went to Texas Southern, and if he was playing ball, man, I just don't see me letting him down there with all of those factors and with all of the things that will come down the pike. I don't care how little you travel, how far your game is. Mm-hmm. You still have those heightened instances of infection that could come about. I just, it scares me as a parent, and I can't even see school continuing at this point unless they come up with something really goofy and unusual. I just can't see it. And I hate to be that guy. I hate to be that pessimist, but I'm looking at what's really important in the world right now, and college football, I'm sorry, it's just not essential.
Now, so Cam went to Texas Southern, but did you want him to go to Grambling? Was that ever on his radar for going to the same school that you were such a hero at?
No, my son was always one of the blazers on trail. That's why he's not a football player now. He is a great chef. Okay. He can bake anything you want to bake. I'm about to go in here and get some cookies in a minute as soon as we finish this.
I hear that.
He can do it. He can do it. So he took a whole different path. But I was glad that he just went to an HBCU. I wanted to do that. And when it was all said and done, chef school is what he liked more than anything else. He hated college, and when he studied as a chef, he was a top student in class. So that lets you know where his heart always was with food.
I hear you. So I have two last questions for you. One is Ethos Education is your nonprofit, and I know that you and your business partner are working with kids in the Dallas area for character building and making sure that they are having all the tools that they need to succeed. So I wanted to give us a background on Ethos Education and what are some of the projects that you've been doing and have coming up. I know with COVID it's a little tough because some of the things that you have planned just don't come to fruition right now, but tell us some of the activities that you are doing with the kids there.
Well, when you're talking about virtual activities during COVID, it's really tailor-made for what we do because we have our online courses. We have our online character courses that we understand the kids really need right now. I think some adults could use a little tutelage from our online courses at this point. People not wearing masks, people having issues with relationships because of the unusual situation that this lockdown has us in. And so that's where I think we would really thrive as a foundation because this is when you really need that character to step forward. This is when you can step out and help people. This is when you can be a more useful person. And for those that haven't been doing things to their own satisfaction, this is a chance for them to press the reset button and do things that can be really impactful, not just for yourself, but for your entire community at this point. So all that we try and do is give the students a better playing field and more even playing field for them to compete as athletes or just as students themselves, because we want to make sure that they are exposed to as many different lifestyles as possible, as many different potential occupations as possible, because these kids have all this promise, but they don't have the exposure. And what we can do at Ethos is give them much exposure through banking. We can give exposure to employment. We can give them all kinds of internships because those are the sponsors and partners that we're dealing with, whether it's through banks, foundation companies themselves, whether it's construction. We're giving them all kinds of opportunities through the partners that we're dealing with right now.
Well, I I am happy to hear that because we need more people like you, Everson, out there, HBCU heroes. I know for our foundation, you have always come when we called. You have given your time and your resources, and
you have asked for a lot of my time.
I know.
Oh, snap.
Can you open the checkbook one more time, Mr. Wall?
Put it out there.
A little bit more. I mean, this guy is from day one has been there in the trenches with us. And so, Jonathan, you know, the last time I was on at Iris, we talked about Everson Walls being the guy that actually donated a kidney to his colleague and player Ron Springs. And so, in the little minute or so that we have left, can you, Walls, can you say what motivated you? Because I know me. I mean, I'm ashamed to say, but even if it was somebody in my family, I would be like, listen. I don't think I'm that girl. I think you should explore other options first, and if you can't get anybody else, then you come back to me. You were like first man in on this. So what made you?
Well, Israel, you actually
first man in, but I was there to be just part of the supporting staff, so to speak.
I bet you can't find another man that would have donated his kidney to Ron. I know.
What happened was I was just there to keep him prepared for whoever was going to donate to him. So. Eventually, all the other candidates just kind of fell by the wayside for one reason or another. And then I was like the volunteer that was just left standing after everyone took a step back. And I'm looking around, where the hell is everybody? And it's me that's left. I tell people all the time, when I was younger, I was a crybaby. My mom spoiled me to death. I miss her terribly. But everything that I used to do when I would get angry, I would start crying. And I would think that anger, it didn't bode well for me before that time in my life. So that was one of the few times where my anger pushed me to do something productive. And that's what I ended up doing. All of his opportunities fell by the wayside. I couldn't sit, and knowing how tight our families are from top to bottom, there's no way I could sit there as a healthy person and not at least throw my hat in the ring in regards to being a donor. And just so happened, as best friends, we happen to be completely compatible, organ-wise, not just blood, but organ-wise as well. And there you go. I was nominated, and I had to put my service in. And I was extremely happy to do it. And, it's something that I must admit, it did change my life. As much as I think it did change both my family's life as well as Ron's family as well. It took us to a whole new height of emotions and closeness and relationships that we would have never gone to if it wasn't for the kidney donation.
Well, Everson, listen, before you jump off here, remember I told you there's a young lady that's part of our broadcast that is glamorous as she is. She used to be a thumper. And I think we finally got her in. I think she's in the green room somewhere. I'm going to try to bring her up. Assistant AD for Atlanta Public Schools and beauty queen, but more importantly, former linebacker for the Atlanta Phoenix. Candace Mitchell in the building. Candace, are you there? Huh? She's in the building, boys. The lockdown living room has let her in.
Hey, everybody, how you doing?
How are you?
Doing fine.
Well, Candace, what I talked about.
I have to ask you, Candace, how many interceptions did you get in your career?
I could probably count them on one hand, to be honest with you. I'm not even gonna lie.
Well, how many people did you knock out? That's what I want to know. How many?
I have no idea. Plenty.
Hey, Everson, you see, you already know from being around linebackers. Okay, do you see those eyes? You see how many people knocked out? Them eyes did a little squinty eye looking. Yeah, I can't even count them.
He's the best looking linebacker I've ever seen.
I know, gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you.
Everson, look,
we could not have you in our locker room. I'm sorry, you could not.
No. Well, if I was in your locker room, depending on what I'm there for, I probably wouldn't look like this.
That's good. That would be good.
Well, yeah, I tell you, it's really been great for all of you guys. And I appreciate Iris as well because Iris travels for her job. So she was kind enough. She said, well, brother, I'm out of town, but I'm gonna pop in the broadcast. And so we appreciate you. Now, did you have any questions? I mean, Everson, I mean, again, we know his time is limited, but I mean, just such a powerful story of, off the court, I should say off the field, which is really probably as powerful as, winning a Super Bowl with the Giants. And certainly, I won't necessarily bring up the other thing that we often see Everson, and I'll leave it there, but he was involved in probably one of the great NFC Championship games of all time. It is a legendary game, and you will see him.
You said you weren't going to bring it up, though.
Huh?
You said you weren't going to bring it up.
I know.
Wait. He brings that up, but he doesn't bring up the Super Bowl with the Giants. Where's my? I'm gonna get my own Super Bowl poster and put it behind me, so everyone can shut up about that play. No one. I'm gonna put up the Giants. I'm gonna bring my trophy in here. That's what I'm gonna do.
We were going to just leave it there.
Well, Everson, the reason why I was hoping you circle back around with the Giants, because I originally grew up in right outside of White Plains, New York, probably about an hour from Manhattan. So I had the great privilege of seeing your teammate, who many people consider probably the greatest defensive player of all time, in his very first practice with the Giants, because at that time they still practiced at Pace University in White Plains. And I can remember the coaches screaming, "Taylor, these are your teammates," as he continued to knock running backs out and get them out of the practice because he was so ferocious. And I had a chance to actually interview him about 5 years ago. He got an award here in Atlanta. So, we'd like to see that ring, because that is a tradition. I've had a couple of guys that have won Super Bowls on the show, and normally either in the second or third time go round, they bring that ring and flash it up so everybody can see it. So we're bringing you back, Mr. Walls, to talk a little football. And some of the guys you played against in the 80s and 90s, and we want you to flash that ring, bro. That's it.
I'll have a different background for you too. Then how about that?
How about that? Absolutely. Well, listen, how can people find out more about you? Do you have social media or a website where people can follow you?
They can catch me on Facebook, I think, but mostly I would love for them to tune in to ethoseducationgroup.com. That's where me and my business partner Mike Davis are doing great work with these kids in the Frisco, Texas area. We've been working all over with the DISD, Dallas Independent School District as well. We're doing great work. We're going to be having a couple of live shows on Facebook coming up. So please look for our link, ethoseducationgroup.com, and look at some of the things we have coming down the pipe. Right now, we are doing a lot of work because with COVID and the shutdowns and everybody doing everything virtual, it's exactly what we're tailored for. So this is our time.
I spend a lot of time in Dallas, so I'm gonna look you up when I get there.
You do that, Miss Candace, and don't come with all that roughhousing. I don't do that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, we don't want. I don't want to get a report that she went down there and laid the wood to somebody down there.
My laying the wood days are over.
Listen. She says that now. Okay, but the first introduction we got to Miss Mitchell was I went to an Atlanta public school kickoff event for football. All right, and so I see this beautiful lady come up, and she goes up to the podium and she gives this. That's why she's blushing now. She gives this inspirational speech to the guys at Everson. She starts crying. She goes, "You guys don't know," and she holds up her arm with a cast on it. And I asked some of the guys there, I said, "What happened?" I said, "Wait, man, she was in a game like a couple of weeks ago and broke her arm or something." I was like, "For what kind of game?" Yeah, she was in the real situation. So yeah, she says that now, but I know you can. If you could find a way to roll back the clock.
That came from a clothesline. When you heard this, that means she clotheslined somebody around the neck.
I don't know what happened. I broke my wrist, but I got my cast, and I was like, if there's a way for me to play with this thing, I'm gonna figure it out. So I was able to put the padding on, and I kept going.
Mm-hmm. Like a true baller.
I already told y'all what we had here. It's a woman of both grace and elegance, with a big forearm shiver, just in case. Well, so again, man, we appreciate you, man. We want to have you back on. hopefully and prayerfully, do you normally come to the Black College Football Hall of Fame Awards every year? Do you come?
Yeah, I'm a Black College Hall of Famer as well as I'm on the board. So yeah.
I was there, sir, when you were inducted.
I was gonna say thanks for the fat pitch. I appreciate that.
So yeah, man. So definitely, hopefully, we can catch up with you. I got a good friend, a guy that actually really helped get me on radio. A guy by the name of Vincent W. Turner. We call him here locally Mr. Football. He does a great show called 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio Show, and he would be. I think he might be watching somewhere. So he'd be very, very excited. He talked about you all the time because he always had a fondness for not only your days with the Cowboys, but the fact that you were an HBCU guy. So he always was loving that, man. So definitely want to catch up with you, talk some football.
Before I let you go, before you let me go, tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be doing something with HBCU Hall of Famers. They're going to have an event tomorrow, July 15th. For the HBCU Hall of Famers or Black College Hall of Famers. So tune in to Black College Football. Tune into that link. They should be having an event tomorrow.
Yeah, man, I definitely want
to check that out.
Yeah, July 15th. Go on Facebook and Twitter. You should see some things about it.
Yes, no doubt, man. We definitely want to do that. Like I said again, I've covered several of the Black College Football Hall of Fame awards. Saw yourself get inducted. Richard Dent, who's from here locally, saw him inducted. Just a lot of great stuff, and got a chance to meet some guys, from the dreaded Steelers, L.C. Greenwood and Mel Blount.
Steelers.
Well,
let's give L.C. some love, man. The late great.
And let me tell you something.
One of the best dressed Hall of Famers you ever want to see.
Man, I was about to say it, brother. He was so clean. When I saw him that last time, just everything right. Had the spats on the shoes. Yeah. I said, man, he's a bad. Matter of fact, a lot of them Steelers, man. Mel Blount.
He did
Mel came in with the big cowboy hat, which I got one.
Mel Blount looked like he still got the cowboy hat on. Makes him look even taller.
Well, let me tell you something. Still got them big square shoulders. Yeah, man. So again, this is what I want to do. And this is one of the things that this program really is set out to do, is try to bring, some of these issues out. That's why we try to bring, a lot of retired players on so people can kind of see you guys in terms of what you're doing up close and personal. And why, we like to bring the ladies on, because ladies kind of give us a different perspective. All of these young ladies here are doing some phenomenal things. Matter of fact, we're going to shift into football here for our final half hour and let the ladies talk. Iris does a great insider report about the Georgia Bulldogs. So we're going to talk to her about what they got going up there. And we're going to get a report from Candace because there is breaking news. I shouldn't say breaking, but there is continual updates about the whole high school football season and some of the things that are going on. She's been at a couple of conferences, so we're going to get feedback from the ladies. And Everson, like I say again, man, we appreciate you. I'll get your information from Tracy. And again, we want to bring you on, man, and talk a little bit about some football. And
all right, guys.
That's it, brother. We thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye, Iris. Bye, Candace. I'll talk to you. Bye, guys.
All right.
That's Everson Walls. He's a bad man. Well, listen, guys, we got to take a quick break really quickly and let everybody know at WIGO 1570. We know we right up at the overtime. We know we got to let you guys go. We appreciate you for joining us. Appreciate our producer back in the studio, Mr. Eli Smith. Does a great job for us each and every week, handling it down there. He also is a great gospel DJ. You can hear him every day, Monday through Friday, with the exception of Wednesdays, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon on WIGO 1570. All right, everybody, WIGO, God bless you and good night. Everybody here on social media, stay tuned. Don't go away. We're going to start talking some football when we come back in just a moment. Hang tight.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
Yeah, I appreciate those guys for dropping some little stuff there on us here. Well, listen, guys, as we know, we go to the full final half hour here just on social media. So, again, we appreciate those of you who are watching on the replay on Periscope. Appreciate those of you watching us live also on Facebook. And also appreciate those of you who are watching us on the WIGO Streamline page, because we're on that as well tonight, WIGOAM.com, where it says watch live and you're seeing us. And we also appreciate those of you who watch the broadcast shared link on YouTube. Well, let's talk a little football here. We want to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. SEC, I think Irish is going to do pretty much what the Big Ten is talking about doing, is basically playing just conference schedules. What have you heard, and how does Bulldog Nation think about that type of scenario?
You know what? It is what it is. With the SEC, it's basically, for me, based on what you've been hearing from me, the SEC will just follow suit because that will pretty much be all that we have. But I do know that Georgia, there's some rivalry that the SEC teams are trying to keep that are outside of the SEC, just such as Georgia and Georgia Tech, and that's one of them, because the game is so impactful. But yeah, that's kind of what I've heard in regards to just SEC only conference play, or any conference play that's only for the actual conference. And I actually got into a conversation with someone about this. It's more of, to me, a legal thing than it is a safety thing. People are, to me, it appears that they're just trying to only concentrate on the teams that are in the actual conference because they're trying to mitigate lawsuits. And that's just kind of how I saw that issue.
How do the Bulldogs look? I mean, you guys have got you got another quarterback. Look like he's coming into Bulldog Nation. What are your thoughts about that? Tell us a little bit about this young man coming in, I think, from USC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he came from USC. Now, JT Daniels was a highly recruited quarterback, 5-star quarterback. Actually, that particular year, he came into the league the same year as Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, and he was the third-ranked quarterback of that year, but he was actually the number 6 overall player. So that kind of lets you know that even though he was a third-ranked quarterback, he was still a highly ranked prospect overall. He ended up getting injured last year at USC. First game against, I think it was Fresno State, and he ended up, it was ACL tear, so he was out of the season, the rest of the season. Of course, the quarterback that replaced him had a pretty good season, so it wasn't necessarily sure that he wouldn't, get the starting job again at USC, but he wanted to take his talents elsewhere. And of course, as you probably have already heard, he did get clearance to play. He's eligible to play in the 2020 season. So that has set up a firestorm, and we already kind of assuming that Jamie Newman would be the starting quarterback.
Oh yeah, he's got to be the starter.
Barring something kind of crazy happening, if you've seen Jamie Newman on tape, it is just phenomenal to actually watch him. And actually, I don't know if you know Jonathan. I did sit down and I watched this tape. I watched him play. I've watched JT Daniels in some of his games at USC as well. And I know sometimes people get so caught up in what their stars are when they're in high school, when they're a high school prospect. They don't really take a look at what's truly going on, because Jamie Newman was actually only a 3-star prospect when he came out of high school into Wake Forest. But you look at those two guys right now, unless something weird happened, and you just never know, Jamie Newman should get the nod. And that's kind of what I'm seeing right now in Dog Nation, that most people think it'll be Jamie Newman unless he just doesn't grasp the Todd Monken offense, and that could be what
Candace, from the high school level, how have you seen this over the years, this shift towards everybody trying to get this kind of dual threat quarterback? It seems like we see a lot of that coming out of APS.
Right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much how our college football is shifting. Now, you have to have So of course, if you have that dual threat quarterback, it's pretty much like having an additional running back in the backfield. They give you way more options. And let me get back to it too. I think when, of course, I believe, and I can't put words into anyone's mouth, but I truly believe that Kirby Smart was really upset when Justin Fields kind of took his talents up north,
Oh, snap,
so
man.
he was definitely in the market to replace what he lost. And you can see it really hurt us last year when we really only had one quarterback to play for us. And that, to me, that's probably why the play calling was so vanilla,
generic,
so to speak. Because you really couldn't get Jake Fromm hurt because we had no one else to fall back on. But right now, we got quarterbacks falling out of the truck. I mean, there's 7 of them. You actually have five that could really be a starting quarterback on anybody else's team right now. So that's really just insane to even think of. But Kirby Smart is looking at the whole big picture. I want to win a national championship. I'm not going to handicap myself the way I did last year. I see what these other schools are doing. They're taking, the good talent away from me. So let me go and do the same thing. So I was actually shocked that he went and got JT Daniels. And another thing I want to mention too, Jonathan, and this is just me thinking, don't want to say anything of this nature, but kind of reading the leaves, so to speak. I don't think that Georgia would have been so much keen on getting JT Daniels if they didn't know that Tennessee was going after him, because Tennessee was trying to get him too. And so you can, that's a win-win for Georgia. You can keep him from going to Tennessee. He comes to Georgia, well, actually 3, and now he's eligible to play. So even if he doesn't even win the starting job with the COVID situation going on right now, who knows if Jamie Newman, if we have a season, with it being SEC, I think we're going to have a season. Who knows if Jamie Newman will be eligible to play every week, depending on if he tests positive or not for COVID-19. So then you got another skilled quarterback that can slide on in and you're good to go.
Yeah, COVID-19 has been a real struggle. So I'm going to ask you, Candace, this question. What have you been seeing from the high school level as far as, what kind of challenges this is kind of setting up for you guys even to get the season started?
Yeah, so to touch on that, all of the school districts around the state are, basing what they're doing on the GHSA guidelines, which are, GHSA is always, considering what the CDC is recommending and what the governor is recommending. But so the GHSA put some guidelines in place. The state of Georgia was able to kick off conditioning on June 8th. Some districts elected to wait a little later just to give them some time to be able to purchase the PPE, to provide professional development to the coaches, athletic directors, athletic trainers, so that everybody could be comfortable with the process, with the new process, because none of us have ever done this before. But right now, everything seems to be going pretty smoothly. By now, everybody has a routine. We've been able to bump the numbers up, for the state of Georgia from 20 to pods of 50. But districts have the autonomy to have more strict rules. So in Atlanta Public Schools, we still have our pods of 20. These pods cannot be interchanged with coaches and athletes. And, there are guidelines in place. If someone tests positive, you could be looking at your whole pod sitting out if that entire group is exposed. But the things that we have in place to kind of keep, to keep things under control have been working, and we're pleased with it. But this is a fluid situation. So, we're trying to keep our eyes on what other districts are doing, what surrounding states are doing, because we're all having the same conversations.
Right.
Well, I was looking at Georgia football. You mentioned the fact that the sensibilities of having, multiple top quality players at different positions just in case, because now you have to not even so much worry about injury, but as you pointed out, have to worry about the fact if a guy tests positive, basically he probably may not be able to play for a couple of weeks.
Right. So I mean, you're looking at, let's say we were in the season, you could be looking at, not for some programs, not having enough players to even play. So we really have to be concerned about the direction that we're headed. But that's what, senior advisors, senior cabinets in different school districts, they're having these discussions, with their district boards and superintendents to kind of figure out how we're going to handle it.
Iris, let me go to you here for a second. So I think we asked about this before. What's kind of the sensibility you're getting from Bulldog Nation as far as what would people want to see as far as getting fans either in Sanford Stadium or somewhere in that vicinity for games? So what's kind of been the feeling you've been hearing so far?
I really hadn't heard much other than the fact that they have several different plans in place depending on how bad the coronavirus is, the pandemic is at the time the season opens. And of course, as Candace mentioned, it'll be fluid. So, so like the beginning of the season, they said maybe only a third of Sanford Stadium will be allowed to, we'll have attendance, only like 1/3 of people that Sanford can afford. And then maybe by the end of the season, it'll be, maybe half full or something of that nature. But they're kind of weighing it every week. The people that I've heard from, they're not really too concerned with attending a live game. Their biggest concern is the safety of the players. So, and some are even kind of really assuming that we're probably not going to have a season, or it's going to just be short. Yeah.
It's crazy. My son, we just dropped him off at East Carolina. I guess it's probably been about 4 weeks now, and all the kids were tested when they arrived, and my son had a negative test, but then a week later he tested positive, he and a few of his teammates. But East Carolina had a great plan in place, as far as getting the kids isolated. But then, more kids have tested positive. And so they've ended up today deciding to just shut down all athletic facilities, so it's like we're learning from each other. What are they doing in this situation? What are you doing in that situation? And we're going to have to learn from these decisions. If one program shut down, that's one less opponent somebody's going to have to play. If multiple schools are shut down, there's no schedule.
Yeah, I think it's going to be problematic. I think the biggest thing that they're going to have to take a look at is you're going to have, I don't care how we slice and dice it, you're going to have positive tests. And I think in order for it to really work, you're going to have to put into your mind. And again, I want to emphasize this. I'm not trying to put, I do a ministry show. We're hoping to do a regular talk show as well. Where we have a hashtag that was out there. Everybody has out there, is that people profits over people. So we don't want to put anybody's children in jeopardy for us to have a good time. Okay, so I just want to preface my remarks with that. But on the flip side, we also be realistic about the disease itself. I think because people, a large block of people have passed away, and in many cases kind of suddenly, went from 100 to 0. We also don't want to neglect the fact that most people that get it actually survive the disease, number one, and the mortality rate, as we start to get more and more people tested, it is starting to drop. And again, I want to make this 100% clear. Any loss of life, any one life, is a terrible thing. But it is something that appears to be being more managed now. And I think that as we go forward, there's going to have to be some way to realistically say, okay, we're going to have people that are going to get this disease. I don't care how much you try to, do your protocols. The question is going to have to be is, all right, what is the risk tolerance? I think really is going to be for everybody to decide what is an acceptable risk for people to play, and are we playing because we think it is in the best interest of the students and our faculty, or are we doing it just to get a check? I think that's going to be some hard decisions that I think everybody's going to have to make.
Right.
Going into this thing, and I tell you, ladies, it really is tough for me to have to come out every week and talk about this I really like to talk about other stuff, but it just, like you mentioned, it just keeps circling back. Um, it
Yeah.
just keeps popping up in the news.
Because
It's
if you
like,
think about it, what's going on with this pandemic is impacting us in every way of our lives,
right,
just the way we navigate. And so when you're talking about having people out in public, or in schools, or just functioning, just going to the grocery stores, going to work, we have to have these conversations. There's just no way around it. You can't talk about sports without addressing COVID-19. It's just no way around it. Look at what's happening inside these bubbles.
right. And speaking of bubbles, so Iris, now I want because you travel quite a bit as part of your job. She's laughing now. What do you see as far as precaution? What are some of the things that, like for example, in the airline industry, what are some of the things that you're seeing that
Oh yeah,
they're doing to try to make it safe as possible for people to travel?
right, right. Well, way back in, it may have been April. Yeah, I think it was April. The airlines started to, for each segment of the flight, they would make sure they have this solution they could spray on everything in the pad in the they clean the seats, the under the seats, and then so it takes like an hour. We have a whole team come in and do that for every leg. We do not serve alcohol. We don't serve snacks. Well, actually, I'm with American. We don't serve snacks, but I know Delta has a little Ziploc bag. They come through with snacks already packaged. The flight attendants, I'm a flight attendant, guys. We pretty much stay in our quarters. You know how we usually walk through to check on the passengers?
Right.
We do not want to do that at all. The biggest thing is, I'm sure for those who have flown, you cannot get on a plane without a mask on. You are pretty much, I don't want to say threatened, but you better keep the mask on. You better have a good reason for taking it off, or you may be met by the police when you land. It's that serious.
It's
So
gotten that intense now. Wow.
yeah, so you have to keep that mask on. There are some people that really can't, like the folks that may have like the oxygen generators that have to have that on, so they can't put that other mask on. But that's an exception to the rule. But for the most part, no. And so with us, I have a tablet that lets me know where each person is seated. So I don't even need to ask you what your name is. I know who you are, and if I haven't had that issue. As a matter of fact, no, Jonathan, this is my first trip coming back to work since I took off for 3 months. So it's been, I feel safe up there, honestly. People are pretty much abiding by all the rules, but nobody wants to get this disease. So we even tell them, like, if you want something to drink, we can bring that to you. It's gonna, but no one has said anything. I usually just sit in the back and, we do the flight, and we land, and we go. But one thing I wanted to mention to you, Jonathan, I was in Toronto last night, so I went to Canada. So no, we are going out the country, guys, and it was quite different. So what Canada is doing, before you can even enter Canada, before you can board a flight that's going to, any type of Canadian city, they're going to take your temperature. You're going to sign a waiver. Before you can even get to customs and all this other stuff. So they have all your information. So just in case you pop up and you end up with coronavirus, they know exactly, who contact, who on that flight, and things of that nature. But another thing that I did notice when I was in Canada, even, of course, the country itself has 10 times less population. It's less populated than the United States, but they only have about the same number of COVID cases in the state of Georgia, in the entire country. And at this juncture, that's the total number they had. And right now, they only have a few cases in Canada, and I'm not going to even go into why things are the way they are, but they're pretty much handling coronavirus well in Canada.
Yeah. So now one of the things that I heard that I want to say is maybe Michigan State or one university has a hydrogen peroxide based solution. And Candace, I heard that there were some high schools even looking into using this. It kind of almost is like, now this sounds funny, but back in the day when I was a youngster, we lived in a we lived in a housing project that from time to time would have a bunch of visitors that were unwelcome.
Okay.
And we couldn't get them out. We would try to raid and stomping on them and all kinds of stuff, but they didn't want to go. So mom would every now and then say, "All right, we're gonna have to go over to grandma's house, and I'm gonna have to go stay at a friend's house, and we're gonna drop the bomb on them." And they would literally put an insecticide bomb, a fog. When I think about it now, I'm thinking, man, we were just like living dirty. You put this bomb in there, and this thing basically would saturate your house with insecticide. It could all the cracks get everywhere. Now, when you came back, don't be wrong, you had the mom put bleach and washed everything, and then we had to do to get everything sanitary. But man, them roaches, they didn't have no part of that. They was like, you see them, they be like, So I'm just wondering, would that be a possible option for schools to use this type of, again, something hydrogen peroxide based or something where they could really get in and kind of really, I guess for lack of a better term, fumigate the schools to make it safe?
Yeah, well, there's a product right now that schools use. Their custodial staffs are using some product right now. A lot of times we see it used when there's a staph infection. They'll go in and they'll just bomb the locker room. Now I don't know if that's the same type of product, but I'm sure that there's something similar that could be used for what we're dealing with right now. But there are products out there that these school districts are using to, like you say, fumigate the buildings or the locker rooms. But right now, one of the rules through GHSA is that there is no access to locker rooms, so nobody's using locker rooms right now, and that's just to help try to keep down the spread of the virus. So, but I'm sure that soon we're going to have to start talking about opening up locker rooms, and we'll have to have a plan in place. And so using a product like that is probably a good idea, something that they may do after at the end of every day.
Yeah, I think we have to have something like this. Well, let's, as we get to the final 10 minutes or so, let's just now talk about prospects on the field.
Talk about what?
Prospects on the field. Let's talk a little bit about that. We've been talking a lot about the COVID and we can't go nowhere, but there's some great players that are out there, both at the University of Georgia and certainly the Atlanta Public School District. And before we shift gears and talk a little bit about that, there was some news, speaking of APS. We had a former APS student that says, I'm leaving, unfortunately, HBCU, leaving Howard and going to the alma mater of his big brother. We had the big announcement that Kalen Newton, former high school standout at Grady High School, has now packed up his old kit bag, showing you how old I am, and left Howard University and heading on to Auburn. So Iris, I'm gonna ask you first, what are your thoughts about Kalen, being a War Eagle?
You know what? I mean, so I can understand why he wanted to go to Auburn and, follow the footsteps of his brother. I don't really know much about his play, how well he plays on the field, but it's going to be very hard to follow anything that Cam Newton did when he was at Auburn. That's all I'm going to say about that, because I mean, that was just absolutely phenomenal. And I know he did it against my dogs, but
that's right. He did it against everybody, so don't feel bad. Yeah, he had no respect for a person.
So Cam Newton is just absolutely he was just phenomenal in college. He really was. Don't know what's going on with him right now in the pros. I really don't know. I'm not going to get into any kind of speculation on that, but just to see what he did in college was just, it was fascinating.
That's epic. I think Kalen.
They're two different athletes. Cam Newton, of course, he's done some phenomenal things. I mean, that dude is a freak of nature.
Right.
And Kalen holds his own in his own right. He did some phenomenal things at Howard, was a player of the year.
Yep.
You know, he is and shoot, Kalen been doing some push-ups. Did you see him been lifting some weights or something? My boy has done packed on some pounds in a good way. You know, and I think that he'll do well. I don't know if there's something behind the new number. I think he's might get a little wide receiver going on. I don't know, but Kalen is a different type of athlete, but he's a phenomenal athlete. More importantly, he is a good kid. That is a good kid. He is a smart boy, and that alone is going to help propel him. I don't care what school he's at. He's going to be an asset to Auburn. They'll find a fit for him.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure about the 23 number either. I think, one of the more popular things that we see here, especially at the high school level, we're starting to see it more and more in college, is guys being designated simply as ATH, an athlete, which means that they basically can be used at any position. They can be used offense, defense. It's funny, I was watching some old clips of A Football Life and watching Charles Woodson, who you guys saw pop up giving us a shout out. But yeah, people forget that. I mean, he was a guy like Deion Sanders that could play offense and defense, and wherever you need him to play. So I think that Kalen's going to bring the same sensibility to Auburn. I know that the War Eagle Nation is very excited about seeing another Newton about to hit the field. So it'll be good to watch and see what he's got going on. While I was up there in Athens, besides obviously you got Jamie Newman coming in at quarterback, got JT Daniels lurking in the shadows there. Maybe one or two other guys that people might want to keep their eye on if they're going to be watching Bulldog football coming up this year. I know you got a bunch of them. Give me one or two that we can kind of peek our eyes on offense.
There's one that I wrote a piece about. I don't know if Candace knows. I put in a lot of time in that Ultimate Dog Nation. I do some writing. I'm a novelist, so I do some pieces. And I did a piece on Zeus, and I think that if you see his play in high school, it was like the second coming of Herschel. I'm telling you what. But he had those 2 ACL tears, and so that kind of sidelined him. So I think what Jordan had been doing, because last year we had Swift and Holyfield and Swift, so they've been taking it easy with Zeus, trying to get him just kind of make sure that the knees, both ACLs are fully healed before they let him rip. And I think that's going to be one of the ones you really need to keep an eye on. That's, of course, we have our season, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think everybody's excited about seeing Zeus finally tote that rock there. And it's going to be, like you said, we don't know. I mean, and, I'm kind of torn between this because I'm not going to go down the conspiracy road on this program, but I do believe that.
Tell it.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jonathan. Come on now. Come on, you can tell it.
You can tell it.
Yeah, I know. I want to hear it.
There's just.
I'm partly muzzled, but you can tell it.
Something's not right.
Yeah.
I mean,
just get talking about Jonathan.
Yeah, it's just I guess the bottom line. If you just look at this, you can clearly see there's something not quite right about the situation. The other thing too is there are some allegations that are out there that in fact the hospitals, I'm not talking about the first responders, but at the administrative level, are not being totally candid about the numbers, how the numbers are handled. Anytime you have to have a press conference to explain to me how you label cause of death, that makes me very nervous. Okay, when you come on and say, okay, I'm thinking now, what were we doing before? So you're telling me now, if someone comes in and they are a person that had, like, for example, when I went, I had to get major surgery done, intestinal surgery. So now if, God forbid, something happened and it was discovered that I was also positive with COVID-19, all of a sudden the diagnosis goes from being, no, he didn't die from the intestinal problem, he died from COVID-19. So that's one problem I have, because that's not really being honest. The fact that we put a lot of emphasis on ventilators, which are more profitable and vastly more expensive to produce than simply asking our manufacturers to make masks that mama and auntie were making at the house. So I'm just thinking, how hard would it be for any president or senator to say, okay, we need you, Mr. Upholstery Factory, to start making masks. Okay, I'm not asking you to create a multifaceted ventilator. I'm not asking you to make an oxygen mask, a mask. Like I said, I got friends that are making them at the house. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So my question is, okay, the president has, and it's not just this president. There's a Presidential Power Act that during wartime that you can, I'm not gonna say force, but you can basically coerce businesses to change their production to those things needed for war. Now, allegedly, if we're at war, see, there you go. There you go. So, to me, why has there not been emphasis on PPEs of the lower level when we know for a fact that they're the most effective way to control the disease? And this is not new. Go look at the pictures of the Spanish flu from 1918. People was wearing masks.
Yeah.
So
in the stands, in the stadiums too.
Yes. Jonathan,
Yes.
Candace, I mean, Jonathan, I think that you and I are on the same wavelength. I was actually thinking about this morning, and I said, why is it that, because, I was in Toronto, I'm like, why is it the president here is making sure, I mean, he's pretty much running it the way it should to make sure the citizens are safe. But, and I'm going to put it out there, so I don't know how I'm going to get some backlash. I know that you didn't want to go there, but I'm going to go here.
I'll put it on a solo screen.
You put this report out that shows that a larger percentage of African Americans are dying from this disease. Now we open up everything, and now you're not even concerned about social distancing. But you're losing in polls. But my thing is, if you continue to pretend that everything is okay, convince some people that it's okay, try to put little things out there to entice people to riot, you're going to knock out a bunch of folks that were going to vote against you anyway. Any kind of tactic that you can use that will benefit you to win the election again. And then, of course, you get Kanye West to come out there and try to steal some votes as well, because you know that you're losing in the polls. And
fix your face, Jonathan.
I was thinking that today, that it's all it's a game, and people don't seem to actually. I haven't had a chance to put that out there today, Jonathan, but I was going to put that out there on my Facebook, my personal Facebook page, that people need to be careful about what's going on. You're being bamboozled, and this is not. He gets that person. He gets on television and he pretends that he doesn't know what's going on. No, he's an evil mastermind, and he knows exactly what's going on. And if you notice, basically, it's only the red states, the Republican states, they're letting people run freely because they want us to die. And you can't even call it genocide because we're doing it to ourselves. We've been enticed. Propaganda.
Oh, well, praise the Lord. Well, I tried to not go down this wormhole here. But yeah,
I have my APS shirt. I'm going to put my mask
on. Amen. I'm going to go ahead and look. I know how to handle it right here. We put Iris on the solo screen and we off the screen right there. That's it. But no, at the end of the day, it's something, and I have a friend of mine, she said, when are you going to start the show and quit talking about it? But the realities are, is the only reason I haven't done it because of my time schedule is very compressed, but I do want to do a separate show away from the ministry show, because the ministry show really is primarily designed to, I'll talk about these issues in context with the Bible, but I also need to be able to talk about them in a more, that is more detached from the Bible and more dealing with the experts of the day. And I also want to get some different political opinions as well, because the way I look at it like this, you need, what they say, there's three sides to every story. One person's side, the other person's side, and the truth. And so oftentimes to get to that, you're going to have people that have competing views on, because one of the things I think has been a big problem, and I see it in sports, I saw it in the case of Drew Brees, and I've seen in the case of other people who've been asked to be terminated their job. See, if you keep calling the word police on everybody, at some point they're gonna call the word police on you. All right, the whole idea that there are some things that people say, do I agree with it? No. Do I think sometimes it's egregious? Absolutely. But you can't stop people or just immediately say I'm gonna fire someone because they said something 5 or 6 years ago. You can't, because you can't then turn around and say, oh, we want a second or third chance for person X or Y, because then you're being a hypocrite. You have to let people talk. You have to kind of get an understanding from where the people are coming from, and then we all have to kind of get to the truth. There's no, I tell people all the time, whether you're white or black, and I'm gonna wrap this up so I don't get in no trouble. But whether you're white or black, but if you're white or black, you obviously can see that from the opening bell, there's not a Republican or Democrat issue that this pandemic was not properly handled. That's the truth. It's not a matter of me saying, oh, I don't like Trump. I don't care if Obama's still president. If this had went down the same way, I would say, hey, it's been mishandled. That's just the truth of the matter. The second thing is that in our quest to point fingers at everybody, nobody has raised the issue of why we had a meeting. As I was flying out to go to the Super Bowl on January 29th, not just the president, not just his cabinet, but 100 U.S. senators were brought into a closed-door meeting and told, hey, this coronavirus could be a problem. The response that we got from many of them, even including those who have been espousing that we're being that we're being mandated on masks and we need to be free, all these people that are, telling or not saying anything to their citizens who are storming the state houses with guns about wearing a mask. Where were these patriots to come out and say, although we've been told not to say anything, because we are voted elected officials, we want
debate this for quite a while. But at the end of the day, it's how do we respond? How do we respond? There are some bigger issues, and right now the conversations about reopening schools or getting kids on the field or on the court. Those are some conversations that we're going to have. However we got here, we're here, and now it's about how we respond to it.
And really, it's kind of simple. I mean, at the end of the day, to me, it's not really brain surgery. Okay, if we know whether you believe the CDC, because the CDC has been culprit too, but telling us bad information. But the realities are, we all know that looking at other countries in real time, that there are best practices. Okay, so there's no sense saying, well, this guy, we see, oh, country X did this, this, and this,
right,
and therefore this worked. So we know that our main weapons are the PPs of any level. We know that. So if we know going back to school, one of the things that I just got, they're a little cumbersome for me, but I can see where they would work for teachers, okay, are face shields. Because now they're saying that face shields may be a tad more effective even than masks. Well, the good news about face shields are, good news. You can see the people who you're talking to, so there's less of an intimidation factor, number one. Number two, I would think with younger kids, it actually might be kind of even a friendly thing, because I know I look like a Goomba with a mask on. I look like Mario the Martian, so maybe kids might be less intimidated by the teacher.
So you mean the shield and no mask, or the mask and then the shield?
My thinking is that this is what I'm reading, that the shield is actually a bit more effective even than a mask. So what I'm thinking is that maybe teachers could wear shields and maybe ask the kids to wear a mask, or maybe the teachers could wear a mask and have the kids wear a shield. But some combination, I think, of shield and mask in schools would be beneficiary if you're trying to get kids back in the classroom. The other thing
I've taught in the elementary school.
Yep,
and I've taught in elementary, middle, and high school.
Yep.
And I can tell you right now,
kids gonna take the mask off.
Them kids gonna be in there like this,
like that. You right.
Like this. Yep. It's gonna be. They're not gonna be like this 8 hours a day.
Right.
So
and my daughter so what can we do? Because my daughter actually said, Dad, it's actually, and even they said it's bad for you to wear the mask all day. It's just not good for your system. You're supposed to kind of take it off a while, which now gets to another problem. How are you going to get little kids, and who's going to take them off and put it back on? Because I know how this works. If they fight with nap time, I can imagine we got to put your mask back on. Yeah, it's going to be on the pop. And you be chasing them kids around the room. You be running on some roller skates. They be like, hey, I'm not having any of that. So I guess there has to be some reasonable way to do it. I just don't know what it is. I think you'd have to obviously dramatically reduce class sizes, which of course is always a problem in school, but you'd have to get
Schools are
class
already
sizes down
overcrowded.
to, right. So the idea of trying to just saying, okay, we're gonna open the schools up arbitrarily, well, nothing good can happen about that, because what are the other thing kids are known for? Transmission of disease. How many people have come home and the kids got everybody sick? So if that's a problem with a common cold, what kind of problem is that going to be with a virus that is highly infectious? That could basically, the kid could come in and just simply wipe out 2-3 generations of his family if he lives like in a multi-generational situation. So there are a lot of questions that have to be answered. I think that you're right. We're going to have a meeting of the minds to kind of figure out whether it be, I think it's going to require a combination of shields, masks, partitions, plexiglass partitions, a lot of different things that you're going to have to use in order for people to go back to school. And you're going to have to be honest and realize that for the most part, you're probably going to be able to only have kids in for maybe one class a day. I don't think it's going to be possible if you're going to all this social distancing. Like you said, Candace, is already overcrowded now. How you could expect to have kids to come back to school and have a full course load of classes. I just think that.
Right. And just, with you saying that, in the midst of these conversations, we can't discount the resources that it's going to take to come up with these ideas that we're having during these meetings. So when you talk about, I think that maybe we should go with a mask, with a shield instead of a mask, or a combination of them both, who's buying them? Who's going to pay for the PPE, the necessary requirements to fulfill all these things that we've come up with, hiring more custodians, different things like that, just to be able to have the kids in the building if that's what that particular district decides to do. I was listening to the governor of North Carolina talk about his reopening plan, and he said that, they were going to supply 5 masks a week per each kid. We go through a couple masks a day ourselves, if that, and that was a question that was posed to him. But, you have to think about the money that it's going to take to be able to make these accommodations. You're talking about, the plexiglass and the mask and screens, and, there's a lot involved. Where's the money coming from?
Houston, we got a problem.
Houston, we got a problem.
I don't know. At the end of the day, like you say again, I will in fact, I know I've been promising y'all, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to have a separate political show. Iris, I will bring you onto that where you can kind of, because I know your blogs are pretty intense. So they do.
I'll be watching that one. So let me know.
Y'all understand you got to be offline on that one. I got you. But at the end of the day, we do.
Facebook stalking me. You see the stuff I put out there.
But then, listen. I'm first of all, again, I just want to just tell you both on air, let you know I do appreciate both of you taking time on your busy schedule. Because both of you got a full deck of stuff to do, and to hang out with me for now, we've gone to almost 2 hours because people have been telling me that they kind of catch it like at 8:45. So that's why I've extended the show, in courtesy, because a lot of people are logging on late. So we do that. So again, that's why I appreciate you guys.
Hey, are you late logger owners?
Yeah. And see, I got the other trick too. See, the other trick for me to get a lot of log-ons, I told Iris the secret, so now I can tell you, Candace. See, what I do is after a while, if I want to do the viewers up, this is what I do. I go like this. I get off. That's how I do it. And then I'll do something like this, and then everybody. Also, I see the numbers go. Numbers go up. That's how I do it.
What those ladies talking about?
They just like to see. I don't blame them. They just like to see the beauty. They don't want to see me making all them squinchy faces, and they don't care about the lockdown living around. They say, "Oh man, bro, come on, get off the screen." But like I said, I do appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with us, and I think that this is we try to give a lot of people an opportunity to come on and talk about. We can talk about sports, we do, but like the Everson Walsh story, that's a big story. You talking about somebody giving up, part of your body part. To someone else is huge, and so that's what we're going to do. Matter of fact, we're going to be. We had, of course, last week, a week before last, we had William Andrews on, former Falcon, and we talked about the idea of having. Hopefully, you ladies will enjoy this. Having a consistent player to come on retired player. He doesn't have to be a superstar, but just come on and kind of talk about, first of all, some of the things we don't necessarily see happen behind the scenes, being a professional football player, and then what a lot of these guys are doing now.
Right.
A lot of these guys are doing a lot of great stuff. I mean, it's just incredible what a lot of athletes are doing. We have a former Falcon right here. Speaking of politics, Dewey McClain. I mean, he's been on the ground floor of politics for years in Atlanta. And a lot of things done. So I mean, a lot of great things that are going on that guys are doing. We have a lot of, Candace, as you know, a lot of former Ravens that are located here in Atlanta. A lot of these guys are doing things with camps and in business. So it's just a lot of great things that
This
are going on.
seems to be the melting pot for retired NFL players. So if you're watching, call my boy and join on the show. He'd love to have you.
That's right.
I'm just saying, and what you can't see it on the head. Actually, I found out from talking to Walt Harris and some of the other guys who are retired players. Atlanta has the largest NFL retired association chapter in the country.
Oh.
In the country, more than New York City, more than LA, because so many guys have relocated here.
Yeah, Walt Harris and Saul Brandon are doing a great thing with that NFL Players Association here in Atlanta.
Good guys. And for those people who don't know about Saul Brandon, Saul's a guy's tried to retire like 3 times, and he's come back. The same thing, cool stuff, Iris. You love that. I'm gonna try to get Saul on the show because Saul is a unique guy because the Lord has allowed him to live obviously a long time, but he actually played in the very first Super Bowl.
Yes.
Oh.
He played for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the coolest thing is when I brought him on the show, I did an interview actually, and he told me his roommate was, and I fell out. He said, "Yeah, man." He said, "Well, my roommate was the Hammer, Fred Williamson." I said, "No kidding." That was his roommate, and he said what you see is he's as advertised. He said the guy was just a live wire. He was off the chain. So we want to get some of these stories because again, none of us are here permanently. So we want to get some of these stories out and let young guys know that, hey, man, there's just a lot. There's a lot of stuff that you can learn, from these older players, and that'll be it. So let me kind of shift gears a little bit. So Iris, I think that you might have some good news about the coronavirus that you'd like to share with us. And ladies, I'm gonna let you two chop up here for a second because I'm gonna take a little break from the action. So now the screen belongs to Miss Iris.
Candace, you're gonna like this. I just got a message.
What'd you get?
The first COVID-19 vaccine tested in the U.S. shows promising immune response ahead of a large trial. Yes, ma'am.
What is large? What is large?
A large trial. They tested 45 healthy adults in March, and then I'm trying to zoom through it. And they showed the phase 1 test paves the way for a larger trial and experiment to happen on 30,000 people. So that's good. And it's going to start on July 27th. Dr. Anthony Fauci approved it.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you signing up for that?
No. I'll wait until that trial is over with. So it looks like with 30,000, that's definitely a quantitative study. So once that is complete and it goes well, I'll get the vaccine after that. I know you're like, you're crazy.
Y'all tell me about that one.
Yeah, I'll do it then. Yeah, I will do it, but I'm not right. Yeah, with 45, no, that's a small study. So vaccine test promising immune response ahead of a large trial. So that was just a trial. So now it's moved into phase 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we have to start somewhere. Go in the right direction.
Actually, I don't know if you know my background, but Jonathan knows. I'm getting a PhD right now, and I do a lot of quantitative studies.
Yeah.
And it usually takes about 18 months to get something to go through. But it appears to me, and I had to do some thinking about this, so all these different labs got together to compare what they had initially come up with. And so thank God for these 45 people who tested back in March, because what if they had not volunteered to?
Absolutely.
Be part of the,
I'm going to keep my eye on that. I would like to see what happens with that.
Yes. Yeah, same here. So But that, I mean, that's a good thing. So if it got approval from those 45, then that's a good thing because it shows promise. So now it goes to 30,000 people they're going to test it on, and so we'll see. So that was March. So that's 3 months. 3 months, right? We did a 3 months ago. We'll know. Let's see. August,
3-4 months. Yeah.
Oh yeah. By November, we'll know if we'll have a vaccine. But then, once it's approved, then that's when you have to have all these manufacturers labs to produce it.
And
Yeah, I
then
mean,
how
that's
much
good news.
access will the public have? How much will it cost?
And that's something that our dear number 45 will have to figure that part out. If the government is gonna subsidize part of it, right? Or will we allow the pharmaceutical companies to just gouge us? That would be awful. That would be awful. They should make it like it's like the flu shot. $10 go to the pharmacy, get your little flu shot. Jonathan, I make sure I get my flu shot being around the public all the time. I have to keep myself.
Jonathan, are you getting that vaccine?
What vaccine?
You getting the vaccine?
Like a
Are
shot
you
in my
getting
arm?
the vaccine?
Yeah, you get the vaccine, Jonathan.
That's food for thought, ladies. I thank you so much for asking me that question. Appreciate you so much, and that's something I'm going to ponder and pray on about the vaccine as we get ready. But I think that's going to. I'm going to tell you something about that vaccine. That's going to open up a whole nother can of Pandora, where you're going to have a lot of tension in this country because what if you? Because see, what people don't understand is why the people are asking, hey, why are people so agitated? Why are people on such a hair trigger? I said, because what you're not aware of, on both sides of the aisle, people are accessing, like no tomorrow, conspiracy, true or not, information that is either towards one side of the political spectrum or the other. So you got people that are in their mind thinking that the other guy's trying to drop the apocalypse on my head. So you're going to be people that are not going to want to take
I mean, it is one of those things too that to me, that's a voluntary thing. No one can force you to take a vaccine.
Well, you say that now. I mean, you say that now, but okay, you get into a situation where, and I'm just, you put this out here. So now you get in a situation where the country is on once again the brink of some type of economic upheaval, and they feel the only way they can safely open up the country is that, and to avoid any type of mass hysteria and lawlessness, is that no more fighting in the state house capitol, no more arguments. Everybody got to get a shot. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, religious purposes, spiritually, you're thinking, I don't want this. You say I'm not going to do it. But now all of a sudden, where it goes from a fine to a big fine to you under arrest.
To you may not be able to enroll in school, or you may not be able to play this sport. Like this could really go way beyond our imagination at this point.
I'm just saying. I mean, and so you have a perfect storm arising, and I don't want to go down a faith-based street, but I can only be who I am. Certainly, if you read in Bible scriptures, it lays out some of the things that will happen as we move towards the apocalypse. And what we're talking about are the gentle steps that lead you right down that road, where people now are forced to have a certain something on them or in them in order for them to transact any business of any type.
Yeah.
Going to school, not going to school, all this kind of thing. And people are thinking it's kind of crazy. How can that happen? Well, you think in your mind, did any of us really think in 2018 that a health pandemic of something, because keep in mind about the thing about COVID, it's not like it's something where it's, they're saying, oh, it's resistant to all these different things. This is something where they're saying, oh, by the way, if we put it outside and the temperature's over 77 degrees, it can't last. So this is not like a disease that is some kind of weird thing. So imagine something that appears to be somewhat easy to take care of has shipwrecked this country. Nobody would think about that would happen. And how we went from 100 to 0 in about 90 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
January 29th, I took a flight to Miami to go cover the week of Super Bowl events.
How about
My
that?
cameraman got into his vehicle and drove from Atlanta to Miami and met me there. We stayed at an Airbnb. Now, for those of you who are in a cave, Airbnb basically saying you stay over somebody's house you don't know. They don't have no hotel thing. You going by someone else's rating. You think it's clean. You go to a place, and basically we stayed in a bungalow in Hollywood, Florida, outside of Miami. I took me back to my college days. Oh, we chilling in the bungalow. But I'm saying basically, think about how nobody in their right mind would think about doing that now.
Right.
I'm not gonna do that. So
Right.
that's how quickly it went from that to I remember March. I think it was March the 12th, where I had contacted the PR people at NASCAR because we'd actually gotten credentials for the NASCAR race coming up, and they said, "Well, everything's in flux. We'll get back to you." And all of a sudden, hey man, the race is canceled.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was from that time from the Super Bowl. That was like about 7 weeks. And the next thing you know, 4 weeks later, we're boom. And not only that, the next week we had went to a game, to the Hawks game. They stopped the games. NBA
Yeah.
made an announcement.
I remember
We're at
that.
the game.
I was watching it on TV. I was like, did they stop the game?
They're
They
like, hold
stopped
up.
the game.
They're like, hold up. They did the church thing. Hold up. And next thing you know, it went from we got to stop this game to okay, you guys can't have any more locker room access with the press. To oh, by the way, we stopping the season.
Yeah.
That happened. Boom, boom, boom. So the idea that something crazy like this that we're talking about can't happen, we're seeing it in real time.
In real time.
right.
Yeah. We're all experiencing this together. And you know,
Right.
so this is crazy.
So-
I'm not sure that things will ever be the same
Oh, they're not.
that they were before. This is a total new normal for everybody. You
Right.
know, almost kind of like how when 9/11 happened, the way we
Yep.
navigate through airports are totally different. You know, now this whole COVID thing, the way we're navigating life is going to be totally different. You know, masks just may be a part of life now. You never know, at least for a
I
while.
thought about that too. Yes, I can clearly see that happening even after the last case as we think has gone away. People will be so dead set on just keeping that shield on because of fear that it may just pop up again. So yeah, this is our new normal. It's so crazy.
Think about how long we've seen people in China wear masks. Michael
Right.
Jackson was wearing a mask like for a long time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
And they had a report by a reporter who actually was there in Wuhan when this really hit the fan. He
Right.
said Americans don't know what a lockdown is. He said China,
right.
you were locked down. The police were outside everybody's house. If you came outside and you didn't have, that old comedy routine, you will sign the papers. If you didn't have your papers, you were like, hey man, you either getting back in the house or you coming with us.
Yeah.
There was no, hey, my rights. You had no rights.
Yeah.
Right.
And people were forced to stay inside. But the thing about it was, if they had the stay in place with PPE availability, we wouldn't be dealing with this now.
Mm-mm.
See, that was my whole thing. I was like, hey, man, and see, now you got people that are not using the PPEs for two reasons. One of them is it's not a legitimate reason, but I understand it. People are so psychologically battered. They're like, I can't. I mean, that's the thing I keep seeing now. It's just like the lady that fell out. Oh, I can't. That's kind of how Americans are. And I can't. I just can't do it
You're not
anymore.
gonna tell me to wear a mask.
You're gonna tell me I go wear a mask. Right.
Right.
The other thing that you have is you have people for political reasons saying that we are going to do this because our guy doesn't do it. And last but not least, and I warn people of this, and you ladies both touched on this earlier. All this pandemic, wearing masks, everybody was mad. Everybody's like, wear a mask. I can't get one. This is outrage. And until I heard this breaking news announcement that some close to 200 people got infected and 29 people died in rural Georgia. At first, it was just a little blip. You didn't hear anything.
Oh, was
Then-
it at that funeral?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
in Augusta, I think so. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they started going back to this, and so all of a sudden now they started peeling back the onion. They said, okay, well, hang on a second. Well, these people all work at the meat packing plant. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Then they peeled back the onion further and said most of these people were the melanin people. Okay. And then everybody started making the statements that all of a sudden, I saw all these guys that, I didn't know them personally, but all these guys that I knew, all their frat brothers were dying. These guys were all 45, 50, and these were all leaders in the community. And the Church of God in Christ in one district, they lost like 15 bishops in like the span of like 3 weeks.
Wow.
All these guys who were leading lights in the community. So now all of a sudden the narrative started to change. I kept telling people, no, don't say this. They started saying how it more impacted people of color, both black and Hispanic. After that, everything shifted. I tell people that it's not trying to point fingers or say it's just race, but the whole willingness to stay in place and to wear a mask, everybody all of a sudden lost tolerance for that.
That's right.
Everybody all of a sudden is all because, and then what did you hear, like when those 15 young ladies all got infected? They all said the same thing. We didn't know anybody that got the COVID. Nobody we knew had it. That's the code word for, well, most of the people we run with don't have melanin in them. And most of them are very young, so it ain't affecting us. And we really don't care if we're a carrier of the disease. That was the other thing. All of a sudden, it went before we were all in this together to people saying, well, I don't know anybody. I don't got no old people I live with. And basically, I don't care. And that's what happens when, and I tell you, all these things are all part of the hidden cost of racism. People don't get it, but these are the underlying things that you don't think about that cost people their lives, cost people time. What about I tell people, what about the first responders? I get it, you don't know anybody, but what if you make somebody sick? These first responders have been hammered. It's not fair to ask these people to keep working these 16, 17-hour shifts. And don't get me wrong, to some degree, yes, there should be some pushback on the people out there protesting. I get how bad it is, but if you're in the middle of a pandemic, you have to be more careful about how you go about your business, because, now don't be wrong, there have been some great strides already in a short period of time that have been made.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't want to take away from that at all, but you have to still be careful that you don't put so many people at risk as well. It's just a balance, and this is right now, this country is out of balance because you don't. Anytime I hear a sports show talking about what we're talking about, how to handle a pandemic, for these guys, one white, one black, to say basically the problem is we got no leadership anywhere. We don't have it in our political base. In some cases, we don't have it in our schools, because this idea that you have all these guys who are college presidents, all these guys who are provosts. I understand it's a difficult problem, but at some point somebody has to say, listen, like you said earlier, Candace, this is where we are right now, okay? And we have to take the following steps, and we have 1, 2, or 3 options. Because we can't keep playing around with it. We got 2 or 3 options, and we're going to take this road, hell or high water, and get some things in place, figure out how much it's going to cost, and have a game plan. But this idea that we're just, one guy going to do, one conference is doing one thing, another conference is doing something else, it's just really kind of crazy. So
yeah, because that's about where we are right now.
Right.
And then the people that haven't made a statement, you've got those parents and athletes at home wondering, well, what are we going to do? When are you going to release a statement? And a lot of these statements are going to come out at the 9th hour.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies, we done good. We the 2-hour mark, and we passed the bonus time. So as much as I enjoy having you lovely ladies in the lockdown living room, I realized I gotta let you go. So first we're gonna go.
Jonathan.
Huh?
It's been real always.
Always, yep. Always have a great time.
Real on Real Talk Sports.
On Real Talk Sports, I try to do it and keep everybody. And no, folks, I didn't lock them down. Both these ladies have pass keys to get out of the lockdown living room whenever they like. So I ain't hold nobody hostage, just so y'all know.
Jonathan, you know you did that. So.
Oh boy, I knew the truth would come out.
Hey, for whatever reason, I always have a problem getting in. You got to do better, John.
And that's the real talk. I don't know what happened.
Me out.
Dang, I gotta tighten up. I can't listen. I can't.
He gave me the wrong key today. Iris gave me the wrong key.
I can believe it.
I've been knocking at the door for like 20 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, don't put me on blast. I'm on Front Street already. I have to do better. We can't have the Pantene linebacker outside, because I know what'll happen. The next time she might just kick the door down. So we got to do right. I'm just saying. All right, listen. How come we're gonna go around here real quick, as we always do? That how people can follow you, ladies, because all of you do a great job on social media as far as putting things out there, letting people know. So Miss Mitchell, we're gonna go to you first, since you were locked out the longest. Tell people how they can follow you on social media.
KP Mitchell 51. You can find me on Twitter there. I ain't telling y'all all my other stuff.
No. Let me go and get my disclaimer out, as I always do.
All in
All
my
right, guys.
purpose, right?
Now you
Okay.
know. I'm gonna hold on. Let me get to Iris. Hold on one second. Let me pop you on, Iris. All right. How can we follow you?
There you go. Yes, the Ultimate Dog Nation. You'll find it on Facebook. Personal stuff. Iris Family Carter. You find me on Twitter, Instagram. I even have a Snapchat too. Iris Carter. But, you know, I don't do
What? You
Yes.
got Snapchat?
I have a
What you
Snapchat.
doing?
I don't even know how to access it. I need to
Can I tell you
figure it
something?
out.
I can't. I try to get on there, mess with it. For some reason, I don't know what I'm doing. Snapchat. I will say I am on TikTok. My last thing I actually did, I didn't do any kind of dance move. I actually did do the push-up challenge.
Mhm.
I realized later that because of my operations, that probably wasn't a good idea for me to do it. I did them well. I did them. You watch. I'm in good form. I have back straight, everything. But anyway. So that's about the only thing you guys are gonna see me doing crazy on TikTok. Rest of the time, you just see the regular kind of stuff. So again, you can follow us. The good news, guys, since I have the producer, I can kind of pop some stuff on the screen. So I'll put that up right up here. If you guys want to follow me on social media, where is it here? You can follow me personally at Minister J Sims. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, obviously on Facebook. Real Talk Sports 7 is how you follow us on the show. We're on everything. We're on Snapchat. We're on Instagram. We're on, there it is right there. Yep, we're right there. Instagram, Facebook. We're on TikTok, everything. We're right there. Check it out. There we go. That's my face there somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Right there.
Everyone's like,
There we go.
where is it?
Right.
Yeah, right there.
So you can follow me on any of those spots, and we'd love to do that. We do a little inspirational video every. We basically take the scripture of the day. We put a little music behind it, kind of have a little montage. So if you want to get inspired in the morning, we try to put those on there. As always, guys, I put a disclaimer. This show has been legendary for bringing on some of the most beautiful women in the world to talk sports. I will tell you what I do every time I get off the air about that. Those information they gave you is not to get you a holler on. Okay? It's for you to contact them about a possible show. It ain't to holler at them, not to try to set up no kind. This is not a dating game situation. And just to let you know, okay, I'm just telling you that these ladies are connected with former ball players. They will beat your behind if you come at me correctly. I'm just saying.
You better tell them.
I'm just saying. As a matter of fact, the minister, you don't know what I might have. I might come at you. So I'm just saying, leave the women alone. If you want to contact them about information regarding a show or to have them be a guest speaker, they both will be more than happy to do that for you. But don't be in them blowing the DMs up.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
God.
Don't
You
do
are
it.
too much, Jonathan. Oh, my goodness.
I'm just keeping it real because it's a Real Talk Sports Show. All right, ladies, again, we appreciate you so much. Guys, we appreciate everybody, those of you who share this on all these different pages on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and especially you guys on Periscope who are watching the replay. Love you. Miss Cammy out there in South Carolina, appreciate the support. Everybody else, Donna Jones, appreciate your support. Everybody that has followed this show, we appreciate you. And if you have a business in the Atlanta area, we want you to please support the show. We want to do something with you. We can be live at your location. We can do a virtual live thing here through the show. So again, hit me up on the phone, 678-410-9833. You can call me or text me. We'd love to put something together with you and get your business out there and just have a good time with us. All right, guys, until the next time, when the Real Talk Sports Show will be back, we're going to leave you with the whole theme from Ladies Night. Ladies, good night.
My God.